This was last fall, in the first week or two of October. I'm not entirely sure how to start this, because it honestly all happened completely out of the blue. It was a normal Monday afternoon. I'd gotten out of work and pulled up to my home just after sunset, and usually I'll park in the garage and head inside from there. But as I pulled in, I noticed something hanging on the front door, so instead I parked in the driveway and went up there to see what it was. Taped right on the door handle was an envelope. I knew right away it wasn't some random soliciting ad mail because it had my name handwritten with a pen on the front. Inside was a handwritten letter. It was short, but what it said I found pretty disturbing. Essentially, the person mentioned they've been interested in me and wanted to meet at a specific place and time the following day. Oddly, that was one of my days off of work, but I figured it was just a coincidence. The writer of the letter didn't sign it though, so I had no idea who it was. Obviously, there was no way I was going to go anywhere and meet with some random person. I headed inside, tore up the letter, and tossed it in the trash. I thought the whole thing was pretty disturbing because they knew my name and my address and said they were interested in me, which is just a strange thing to say, given I had no idea who they even were. Anyway, I thought tearing up the letter would help me not to stress about it too much, as there wasn't anything I could do about it. At least, not yet. After all, it could have just been some stupid prank. I went on with my night and got in bed just before 11. Like I mentioned before, I was off the following day, so I slept in and spent pretty much the entire day inside. Can't even remember what I did all day, but I know I made dinner late, like 8 or 9, and started getting ready for bed right after. I went upstairs and into the bedroom to take a long, relaxing shower. However, a little ways into it, I heard the doorbell ring. Confused who could have been outside my home at this time of night, I opened the shower curtain and listened for a minute. But with nothing else, I figured they left. I wouldn't have answered the door anyway. I closed the curtain and continued with my shower. As I stood in the water and tried to relax though, I started connecting the dots between the letter from yesterday and the odd doorbell ring. I knew it could have been me completely overthinking it, but also the feeling that I wasn't felt a lot stronger with every minute passing. And then I heard something. It sounded like a few light thuds, or maybe creaks, somewhere right outside the shower curtain. I froze and listened, then quickly shut off the shower and moved the curtain aside. Nothing was there. My heart was still racing as I got out, dried off, and got dressed. First thing I knew I had to do was check the front door. I crept downstairs and looked out the peephole, but saw no one standing outside. So I opened the door. Immediately, a paper slip fell from the crease in the door. Before reaching down and grabbing it, I looked around outside. The trees rustling in the wind and the crickets chirping were the only sounds, and as far as I could tell, the whole neighborhood was still, dark, and quiet. Eerily so. I picked up the paper and closed the door, then unfolded it. It was a note in the same handwriting as the one from yesterday. As I read it, I could feel my blood rush and my face getting pale. The writer was clearly angry about me missing the meetup earlier today. It was like they really thought I was supposed to show up. And at the end of the letter, they signed their initials this time. DN. This was incredibly creepy and disturbing, as it was way more than just a small note. This felt way more personal and unsettling, and much less like just some small prank. I genuinely didn't know what to do, because he was already gone, and I still didn't know who it was. even with their initials, I had no idea. I paced around the living room for a while, a good 30 minutes at least. Even then, as I paced around in my own home, I kept getting this uneasy feeling that I was being watched. I'd look and check out the windows and the door over and over, but never saw anything. Eventually, I knew I'd have to sleep. Overall, though, I decided that in the morning I would go to the police station and bring in the letter and see what they had to say about it. I started heading upstairs. As I reached the top, I suddenly heard those thumping or creaking sounds, the same ones I'd heard while in the shower, coming from inside the bedroom. I hurried into the room. Nothing. Not a single thing in there to warrant the sounds I'd been hearing. I'll admit they weren't concerning sounds at all. It was just with everything else going on that it made me feel like everything could be something, even though it likely was nothing at all. I closed and locked my bedroom door just in case, then checked the closet and every other spot in the room to make me feel better. And just before getting in bed, I remembered one other place. I never went out there, but there was a small balcony attached to this master bedroom. I was a private person and always kept the blinds closed, so I often forgot it was even there. I walked over and pushed aside the first few blinds so I could get to the door handle. I didn't even have to grab it to see that it was already unlocked. There was no way I left it like this. However, I didn't get a chance to open the door because just a second later, a figure moved from the corner of the outside balcony. I jolted my eyes at him, seeing he was staring at me as he moved closer to the other side of the door. I turned and sprinted out of the bedroom. I heard the balcony door open as I was leaving. I ran for the closest neighbor I knew would help me. The man didn't seem to be able to find where I ran off to. Police were at my house and searching around within 10 minutes. I was still incredibly nervous because I knew how awful it'd be if the man got away. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. They never found him. Me and a couple officers started going over the time frame of everything taking place, and it's pretty apparent that the man broke in while I was in the shower. Likely, the sounds I'd heard while in there were from him opening and closing the balcony door, where he went to hide. So since I'd heard those same sounds again, he must have at some point gone back inside the house while I was pacing around thinking about the letter, which makes that whole feeling of me being watched even more disturbing. And most of all, what I find really unsettling is that from the short glimpse I got from the man looking at me, I felt like he looked oddly familiar. Not like someone I knew, but maybe just someone I'd seen in passing at some point before. It kills me that I can't figure out where or when I'd seen him. It really could have been anything, like just passing him at a grocery store, which makes it way more disturbing that that was enough to get this man to follow and stalk me and form this dangerous fixation on me. A whole lot more could have happened that night, and all I can be is thankful that I got away mostly unharmed. It's been almost a year, and so far nothing else has come up. No notes, no weird sounds, nothing. I hope it's done. But even now, I'm still constantly looking over my shoulder, unsure who's watching.